Signed in April this year, the Economic Cooperation and Trade Agreement, or ECTA, has now been ratified by the Australian Parliament. The pact may come into effect as early as the 1st of January 2023. This will be India's first trade deal with a developed country in over a decade. It is also the third such agreement signed by India in recent times, after the Mauritius and UAE trade pacts. The development was also hailed by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who said that it will further strengthen the India-Australia Comprehensive Strategic Partnership. After the trade deal comes into force, India-Australia bilateral trade is expected to almost double, crossing $45 to $50 billion in 5 years, from $25 billion at present. In FY22, India had a trade deficit of $8.5 billion with Australia. India's top 5 export items to Australia in FY22 were mineral fuels and oils, pharmaceutical products, precious stones, precious metals and jewelry, nuclear reactors, boilers, machinery and mechanical appliances, and articles of iron or steel. Mineral fuels, oils and waxes were also the top item category among imports, after which the remaining top 4 items of import were pearls, precious stones and metals and jewelry, ores and slag, chemicals, compounds of precious and rare earth metals and radioactive elements, and tanning and dyeing extracts, pigments and paints. Now, let us delve into the pact's benefits for India. Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal told the media that the Indian information technology sector would be the biggest beneficiary. Along with ratifying the trade agreement, the Australian Parliament also amended the Double Tax Avoidance Agreement with India to stop taxing the offshore income of Indian IT firms operating in Australia. This will resolve a long-pending issue and lead to savings of over $200 million for IT companies per year. Under the deal, Australia has agreed to eliminate customs duty immediately on 98.3% of all traded goods and remove all duties over the next 5 years. India, on the other hand, will do the same on 40% of products immediately and on 70.3% of goods over a period of 10 years. Trade Minister Goyal said that this was the first time that Australia had opened 100% of all its traded goods without any quota restriction for any country. The major labor-intensive sectors in India that will benefit from the elimination of customs duty include textiles and apparel, agricultural products, leather, furniture, jewelry and pharmaceuticals. Goyal also highlighted that as a result of the trade pact, cheaper raw material imports and intermediate goods would increase Indian industry's competitiveness in other markets. In good news for the Indian pharmaceutical industry, Goyal said that medicines that had passed the approval process in the US and UK would now enjoy a fast-tracked mechanism for approvals from the Australian regulatory system. But the FTA with Australia is an interim agreement, and a more comprehensive pact is in the pipeline.
The expectation from India's side is that trade with Australia will be doubled in 5 years. Now, that could be a tall ask. You need to do much more than just look at tariff liberalization or tariff reduction. Like I mentioned at the beginning, that Australia already had low tariffs. There are other issues, which is and that's those issues fall fairly and squarely at our door, which are issues relating to trade facilitation, and generally reducing trade costs. And that is one area where we need to look at. Finally, there is also a window in the services sector. There is a very, small window out there. And but this covers only business services, and not all other kinds of services where India could actually benefit from. But these sectors have not been included in the ACTA. They could actually come in the follow-up to the ACTA, that is the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement.
The trade pact comes amid warnings from economists and international organizations that several major economies are facing a real risk of sliding into a recession. India is already feeling the pain. In October, the country's merchandise exports contracted for the first time in 2 years, in part due to slowing external demand. Since a slowdown or a recession in the West will lead to a decrease in demand in general, Experts see India's exports coming under pressure in the months ahead. These worrisome developments come at a time when the centre is pursuing a changed foreign trade strategy. Being doubtful of the benefits of freer trade, it had earlier put new agreements on hold and scrapped bilateral investment treaties. In recent times, however, the government has acted on multiple new free trade agreements, from signing a comprehensive partnership with the United Arab Emirates to moving discussions forward with the United Kingdom and the European Union. So, how will this change of heart, along with the latest pact with Australia, impact India's foreign trade prospects?
When we entered into these, these FTA negotiations from 2021, the government was extremely confident because it came on the back of a very strong export performance. Now, with the slowing down of exports and the slowing down of the global economy, now the entire equation sort of changes. And it changes to such an extent that now what we need to do domestically to really see how our manufacturing sector exporters can find additional market access and to really do a diagnosis as to what needs to be done at this end, at our end, to get those additional market access. That exercise needs to be done ASAP.
With global merchandise trade predicted to lose momentum sharply in 2023, India must diversify beyond its traditional markets and trade partners. And while the government's recent thrust on FTAs is welcome, such pacts must now be used to facilitate the country's participation in global value chains.
If you like this video, share it and subscribe to Business Standard. For more news, views and insights, log on to www.business-standard.com. Do also follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Telegram and LinkedIn.